wasn't on that.
Because you want a good transition.
I know, but so when you ask for it,
Years ago.
running unopposed, so
I'm just
they're
saying,
all
it wasn't on
unopposed.
that, and then I was trying to get this together with some other years, so I was just telling you, look at the email on
Show
the
up
one
and
you sent me,
swear on
there's
the
nothing
inside.
there.
It was a whole big old.
That's the one I was talking
Oh,
about,
there
but
you
I
go,
didn't look
there
back
you
at
go.
teams, because I was finishing up the budget, because I had to
Did
get
you have
over
any
here.
just
All
tested?
right, so what we doing?
Or did you, I mean, you personally?
Just the first one.
First one, yeah.
I could have just kept on going.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it was just letting out of.
Recording in progress.
All right.
March.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry to
then my
hear that.
father's passed. So it's been a
Been going through
trying
it.
time, well,
Deal, which is what
2.5
started.
years, she was
Good afternoon, everyone. Let's call
bad.
McLennan County Rural Transit District Board of Directors together. Today is Thursday, May the 1st, 2025. It's 4. We supposed to start at 4 or 4:30? This says
4.
4. Okay, good. 4:30 here. All right, and proof of posting. I think it was posted on Friday, April the 25th, 2025 at 1 p.m. Consideration or action of the following. Number B1 is approval of place 6 director. The balance for Martin Hallsberg will return later this month, and at that time we will receive 2 nominations, Mr. Wegworth and Mr. Hallsberg and Mr. Bays at Mart. And Riesel did not return any nominees, and so I would entertain a motion to defer any decision until we get the votes in.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those pass. B2 is approval of the at-large director, and I'd like to hold that decision until after the votes count, so there'll be a spot. And so I would make the motion to defer B2. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made, second. Any discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those pass. And then on B3 is approval of minutes of the prior meeting. They're in the package. I briefly went over them. Didn't see any additions or corrections, but if anybody else saw anything, let me know. Otherwise, entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass. All right. Under C is operations report, ridership program, revenue, expenses, equipment, marketing plans, and related matters.
Yes, sir. Do they not have
Is
the, can y'all see?
is that guy here?
What do you need?
That TV?
Oh,
He's working, okay.
It's dark in there. I didn't think anybody was in there.
Okay.
Sorry about that. There we go.
And I have your PDF graphic when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay.
Judge just got the word that Jim won't be able to make it.
okay. Watermelons came in.
They came in. They came in.
Okay, so for the rural service ridership statistics, as of January, McLennan County Rural, the demand response service, where we pick up people, take them wherever they would like to go, it's at 1,075 for the month. The parole shuttles up by 1, it was at 36. Medicaid trips are at 17. We have at 17, and the 5310 went up to 312. Our total demand response for the month of January was 1,440 people. So we're trending pretty well based off of our total demand response services being provided at this time. Our next, where you look at the.
Excuse me just a
Yes,
minute.
sir.
Now, I might have missed it, but are you comparing that what was the difference between this year and last year?
Well, last year at this time, we would have been at 1652, but we're down significantly on the Medicaid.
Yeah.
But we did get, we have been in contact with Medicaid. They're looking at increasing our rates because there's a big competition between private providers that are not required to have all of the regulations that public transportation providers have. And so Medicaid has been, the brokers have been given the trips to the private providers because they charge a lower rate, whereas we charge the rate comparable because we have to do the drug and alcohol testing, and those private providers don't have the same regulations. So right now with, I'm the president of the Texas Transit Association. We are having some meetings with the non-emergency transportation brokers to kind of discuss the expectations that we have as public transit for that local match versus the private providers not having to have those same requirements
Right.
and charging less of a fee. So we're having conversations with TxDOT, we're having conversation with the brokers, because overall as a state, it's a concern that we have higher expectations to perform, but they don't have to do the drug testing, they don't have those regulations, and then they're pulling the trips from us.
Okay.
And so that is a discussion we're having with those brokers and TxDOT. So,
Right.
our numbers have gone up since this report, but we're
Okay.
just going to talk about future.
That's why we're 210 short from the prior year?
Yes, sir.
Something like
Yes,
that? Roughly
And,
speaking.
we go, the total, I guess he doesn't have it up, so. I don't know if you're gonna look it up.
I'm sorry, for some reason the Zoom is refusing to share, so I can't get that file up.
Okay,
I don't know why.
okay.
So everybody have one of these?
I was gonna say, y'all can take
Yeah,
it.
I think it's an email.
Yeah, we sent it in an email. And then if we look at the demand response service from October through January, that would be the red line. And so, you can see where the blue line was higher. And basically on that first sheet where I explained the differences, you can see where, it would have been 1075 at this point, in January of 25, we're at 1075, and then last year, we would have been at 1340. That would have been the fiscal year comparison for the rural demand response. And if you look at the commuter bus changes, we would have been at, yeah, it's not on this one.
Because we didn't have the commuter bus last year.
Yeah, so we implemented that service expansion program that we were running through China Spring, Crawford, and McGregor. And so that data is not on the fiscal year '24, but I don't know why it's not on this report. So it's at 92. So through September of '24, we were at 92, and this wasn't updated through January, so that's where we're at this point. I think it's because we had the meeting scheduled, then we changed the meeting, and then we had some reports.
Yeah.
And so it looks like we're further behind, but it's just because of the agenda date that we had to report on. We need to
Okay.
be reflective of that, so that's why it's still at the 92.
All right, thank you.
You see, that's the route I was discussing, was introducing the China Spring, Crawford, McGregor commuter routes. This was the publications that we sent out to everyone in the community. We mailed those out to advise them of the new service that we're providing, and that's the one that we have, the 92, as of the end of December. And then, we did put that in Spanish as well as English so that we make sure that we are communicating the service changes within the demographics that are in the McLennan County. Those are based off of the census. Those are the two with the highest Hispanic and the other language that we need to translate into.
Right.
So that's the end of the operating report, financials.
Did everybody get a copy of the financial? I have them on paper if you don't have it. Okay. I was
Just
just,
send one around, I'll give
You need,
Because they're so small, I like to print it for everybody. I don't know if y'all have any questions in general, if y'all had a chance to look over. I will say that that new route we're talking about from McGregor, that's what that commuter fares is. That we didn't have previously, and there wasn't a budget, because we didn't know when we did the budget if we'd be awarded it, the grant. And so we didn't budget that out, but we had received the $357 through January. Overall, we're sitting like about where we normally do. The only thing that's a little off is that software expense that was unexpected, because when we did the implementation of our new software at Waco Transit, we weren't considering including the rural fleet, and then we decided to because we realized we could commingle it, because it makes, opportunities even better for rural and Waco. And so that was an unexpected expense that was covered by grants.
That's the software that we utilize for the micro transit zones. So it allows our McLennan County Rural Transit District riders to schedule based off from an app versus having to call in. It also calls them, does an automatic notification to our passengers that the vehicle is arriving. They can track that vehicle as well on the app. So to be able to, it didn't make sense, and it wasn't cost effective to have Eco Lane running for rural and then have a different system with Waco. So we try to commingle those services and those costs. So that was why we had that addition.
But again, it was covered by grants, like the 5311, our normal operating. Well, it came in capital, so it was a little bit better match. But that was that main expense that I didn't want y'all to seeing with it being over budgeted. We did receive the new vehicle, which is that capital vehicle, the very last line item, on February 7th. So that was that 5339 grant, which covered that vehicle purchase as well. I didn't know if y'all had any other questions. Y'all want to look over it? I didn't want to go line by line.
Okay, any questions? Does that complete the financial report?
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to approve the financial report?
make that motion.
All right,
Second.
motion made and second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Back on the rates, Medicare or Medicaid rates, how much is our cost or what we were charging over what the competition or the other providers? Are you talking like Uber or?
No, sir. I'm talking like the regular cost for the passenger for rural service would be the $3.
Yeah.
But what we charge the brokers is closer in the range to $26 to $28.
Yeah, okay.
It's all depending on if it's a wheelchair, if the individual has a mobility device, then that trip is at a higher rate than an ambulatory. However, if you have two people that may be ambulatory in the same residential complex, then that rate is divided between the two. So it's based off of the distance of the trip as well as the type of, mobility device that they may be in.
Right.
And so I can provide you guys the actual average on trip costs based off of the distance, but it's kind of not like a flat rate of $3. It's distance-based
Yeah,
charge.
okay.
How does our rate compare to the private providers though? You say
We're
you're
higher.
What, by double, by a couple of dollars, or?
I wouldn't know the specifics because they're all privately contracted out. I just know the public transit rates because since I'm the president of the TTA board, we all share that information so we can go in with numbers and strength when we're discussing it. But the private providers, I'm assuming it, as the rest of the public transit providers in Texas, that they're getting the bulk of the trips because their rates are a lot lower than our rates are. So
You're assuming that's the issue, because you don't know what the competition's rates are.
Correct. And so, but I know we're all on average, the public transit providers, we all have pretty much that same, range of rates. But private, I mean, if they take a wheelchair trip for, $8, they may not necessarily cross over different county lines versus me as a public transit provider, I'm gonna get more around, $25, $26 for that same trip. So for the brokers, it's more cost effective for them to give it to. I mean, it's all about money, so it's more effective for them, cost effective to them to give it to that private person. But we as public transit providers need that local match, and we feel like it's pulling from our base because we're here and we're required to provide that service. But you have those TNCs that are coming in like Uber, and they're trying to capitalize on some of that extra revenue as well, so.
I will say, I was doing revenues today, and April picked up. There's quite a few more trips in April than there was in January.
Okay. Do you have a question? Okay. All right. Anything you see any changes or anything different for the rest of the year? I know we're early in this year, but.
We're really trying to get really aggressive with our hiring because we really want to be able to look at some microtransit zones in some of the smaller cities in the county. So that way, instead of having a passenger have to travel, from China's, from one area, go through Waco to get to another area, if we can identify more staff, yeah, we can stay in that area and they would have more public transit, microtransit service that's more cost effective to us, but without having the staffing in place, then we can't move forward because if we're using the same people, we have those drive time regulations. They can only operate a vehicle for so many hours. And so you're kind of limited on how you can use individuals. And when we do share, our staff between both programs, but it's basically the demand that dictates that.
So, what do we pay those drivers?
We pay our drivers $15 coming in.
$15?
Yes, sir, 50, the part-time rural drivers, yes, sir, $15 an hour.
And so you have full-time and part-time?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
What's a full-time driver?
They have a CDL, so as long as, if they want to get a CDL, then their wage moves to 19 starting pay. We changed that last year, but it's contingent on them getting a CDL.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
We'll hire on Road and Bridge, getting CDLs. Is that y'all able to get those fairly easily? When they have to go through a testing?
Generally, our hires already have theirs.
Okay,
We haven't had much experience with having to go out
okay.
and get them. But there's lots of different programs out there.
Yeah.
And there's and I recall there's places just in the southern part of the Metroplex where people can go to real easy
Right.
from down here and get it, and then we can pay for it, and then they can
Renew and.
pay us back out of their
Oh,
paychecks and
reimburse,
stuff like
yeah.
that. So there's lots of different. I mean, it's
We
not
train
like-
them in-house to get their CDL,
Yeah.
Judge,
Oh,
if
good.
that's what they want, then we pay for the CDL.
Do y'all still have the simulator?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we pay for them. If they want to get a CDL, we put them through the training. We have the certification.
Okay.
But if they don't want to go for the CDL, generally our smaller vehicles that we use on rural don't require a CDL. So they don't pursue it, but we don't limit them. We don't limit them. We'll put them through it. We give them the classroom training. We have the vehicle for them. So it's really, and we have it posted when we interview, we explain both sides of it. And so
So what you're saying is that our main competition is still the mom and pops,
Yes, sir.
the Uber drivers. And so how are they getting, how do they know about there's a broker out there that's,
yes, sir,
okay.
you can go get, your TMHP certification. You have to pay
But there
a
is a
fee.
certification.
Yeah,
that
you have to pay a fee to receive, the ability to operate under that program. And then at that point, the brokers decide based off of, I guess, cost as to who they want to use. We try our best not to refuse trips. We run service even on the day before Thanksgiving. We run service on Sundays to help meet that need when other organizations are closed, so that they know we're a viable option. But, I mean, we do everything to remain open and available. We don't close down because the other providers don't want to work, the day before or the day after Christmas or the day after Thanksgiving. The private providers, they won't even provide service, but we're open and we do. But ultimately, it's a cost.
And I know before, y'all mentioned if the board, anybody on the board that knows people in their community that might want to do some part-time driving or full-time either, that y'all have some openings in that. How do you like post somewhere that the need, you have openings, or how do y'all get that word out?
Yeah, we have it on our website, we have it on the City of Waco's website, we have it, we advertise with the Hispanic Chamber, we advertise with Workforce. We go to all of the job fairs across the county and in Waco. I could provide you guys all of the community engagement that we go to, just to make sure our message is out. We work with the Rural Coordinating Commission, that. We make sure that we disseminate that information to those stakeholders. I mean, we send it out to,
Social media.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have it on LinkedIn. We have it everywhere. There's a way to be visible. I mean, we promote it. It's
Yeah.
just a different market. I don't know.
Well, we're pretty much at full employment around here. I mean, people are working and they've got, and they can work at some of these fast food places and get $15 to $18 an hour, so.
Yeah. So we try to find that work-life balance. We try
Yeah.
to sell it.
Yeah.
We even allow them to kind of tell us if you want to work maybe 3 days a week during these time frames, so that we can, have a consistent scheduling. We've done everything to try to work and be accommodating. It's just, I don't know, people, work ethic is just very different.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Well,
well, I guess we could look at wages, but,
that's how you fix most of those problems.
and biggest cost, wages and insurance.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to address that, in areas where we had more turnover. When we did the exit reviews, they were going to Amazon or other places, and, so, and that's gonna keep going. Things that, we're in just a slight lull right now, in economic growth from industrial manufacturing side, but all the factors that cause those entities to move to Texas are still there. There's high taxes, they're coming out of high tax and high regulation areas. None of that's changed. In Texas, the cost of living here is cheaper and all that. And manufacturing's really found it a home, and even to foreign groups. And so somewhere, some group needs to really study, really figure out if the next step for transportation in our county. And for some of y'all that before your time, but used to all the transportation issues, public transportation was a lot of it managed by Hot Cog. And we were having issues with not getting our pro rata share of the money. We tried to discuss that numerous times and nothing changed. So Commissioner Jones and former Mayor Malcolm Duncan and I went to TxDOT and just got our money cut out coming directly to us. And that's where we started this McLennan County Rural Transportation. So that caused some other things to change. And all the other county judges invited me to a rump roast, and my rump was getting roasted. But But I said, if any of y'all were in my position, you'd want to hear a compelling reason why we shouldn't do it, and they had none. But the thing that worries me is, which is a good thing, but with growth comes pain. You have to kind of relook at it and see if you need to take another approach. And I think we're getting close to that area because we're a net provider of jobs in McLennan County. And we're already drawing from surrounding counties and probably may reach out even further and further. But I don't know what the answer is, but maybe, we need to be thinking about that. And inefficiencies caused by the differences between the other counties' rural transportation and ours. And does that cause a big inefficiency of getting folks here, and price, and then the hours run and all those kind of things, so.
Because we offer more service than they offer, and so it puts limitations on those individuals when they're trying to come in. I get a lot of calls from people who would like us to provide that service for them, but the other counties won't allow them the access, and without their permission to provide the service,
Yeah.
I can't do it. But they're saying, there's certain time restraints. They only provide service maybe 3 days a week, and they're back by 5 and they have later, but I can't help them. And when I reach out, it's how they design their service. And so that's a cost to the communities.
Sure.
But,
Well, we're always open to suggestions and maybe looking at other communities, what they're doing, if there's anything different we can do. So, any other thoughts or comments? Anybody?
I think the biggest driver is just the salaries. That's the hard one to do, and that's the hard one to address, but that's what it's gonna take. You're gonna have to bump that salary up to attract anybody.
Yeah,
Because you're competing with fast food and anything like that. And, that's not necessarily the same group of people, but it kind of is. They're not highly trained or, anything like that. They're good people and hardworking, but they can get better money in a lot of places. And I think
his
that's-
background is fast food, and he understands that, so,
Well, and I had to do the same thing a few years ago, is that we weren't attracting people, and I just had to raise salary, start pay enough to just even get anybody in the door.
Yeah, I know how y'all afforded to do it. You made that hole in the middle of that donut bigger.
That's right. Yeah, but then, see, the secret is then you turn around and you sell the whole.
That's right.
And how can you go broke with a deal like that?
That's right.
that's my favorite part.
That's right.
Well, Uber's kind of like working from your home, So
Yeah.
somebody who has,
Time in a car.
time in a car, you can work whenever you want, whenever, and so to me, that'd be kind of hard to compete against also too.
Yeah.
Because you
Convenient.
don't have you do pay some benefits, but, there's certain, rules and regulations
But if you
that come
can
along.
get somewhat competitive on the pay, the difference is you're wearing our car out and not your car,
True.
Yeah.
And working when
And
you.
you can still, she said, they're able to accommodate a lot of schedules. And
How many, are we losing any, are we declining any calls?
No, we don't, we have a non.
So that's concerning to me, and so that's real concerning to me. Then, if we're not declining anybody's demand response, but yet we're down.
And our needs not growing,
Yeah.
it showed to shrink a little bit.
Well, we don't decline them because we'll add in like a supervisor or we'll do our support staff.
Yeah.
Because we'll have because it's pre-scheduled. So what we do is we can schedule 10 days out, so we'll have our flat schedule. But in the event we have like a higher demand, then that's when we'll augment with our dispatchers or our call takers. Because generally when we promote up, they were operators and then they moved into that. So it's not that we're not denying rides because, the demand isn't there. It's more about we augment it with additional staff that's on site so that we can accommodate it. And then if we don't have it, we have our base set of operators. And if we get a high demand day, we send it out in advance and those individuals know they'll drive that next day. So that's how we meet
I think one question would be, what percentage of the market do we have? Because we don't know the numbers of these other providers. If we had that, we'd know if we're shrinking, and if the percentage, excuse me,
should know.
providers are growing, and we know our numbers, then, we losing ground or.
I would assume that we would know those Medicaid numbers. It's probably just the,
Yeah, could be.
Probably could get a request, probably could do an open records request or something like that.
Yeah.
But I can see if I can figure out, write that down, if we can get some statistics on the other, and I'm sure, I wonder if PTN, we have public transit, where we enter our data. I know like for urbanized services, we can look in and find peers' information.
Yeah.
So I'll look into the system and see if there's a way
Yeah,
for us
please
to
do.
look at the peers in our area, so I can provide you some data points on that, if it's available.
Yeah, that'd be good. I bet you could find some of that. All right, anything else from y'all?
No, sir.
Anyone on the board have any other questions or comments?
Just that we've tried to get you to Lorena to do some sort of presentation, maybe at a city council meeting. And my city manager has reached out and hadn't gotten a response to set up anything yet. So if you can, reach out to him. Kevin Neal is his name, with the city of Lorena, and see if we can get y'all on the 10 or 15-minute presentation or something about the services that we have.
We do that. Let's see him.
Give me that door.
Interesting.
I will, let's see, I'm trying to find the next meeting date. It's written down here somewhere. You have it?
August the 7th?
That sounds right. Here's the answer. Cody says we're gonna look at June date.
okay. Because
Maybe-
we have to have 4 meetings.
Pardon me?
Do we have to have 4 meetings every year or
Yeah,
something
we're
like
supposed to
that?
have 4. So, yeah, if you could maybe do a little research and see if we can look and see what's going on,
Yes, sir.
be good. Okay. Anything else to come before the group? If not, we stand adjourned. Appreciate everybody coming.
Recording stopped.
Good turnout.
For me, December can't get here fast enough.